This is the Horse Radio Network.
Taylor Harris Insurance Services. There for all equestrians, amateur and the professional. For all types and all breeds. No matter what discipline or level, Taylor Harris is committed to excellence in serving you and protecting the horses you love. Taylor Harris Insurance Services, your worldwide equine insurance specialists.
This is a podcast. I'm Piper Klum, publisher of The Plaid Horse, and today on episode 240, I'm joined by my co-host Tracy Brooks of Balmoral Farm and guests Mimi Gotchman and Leela Reynolds. If you enjoy our conversation on the podcast, please share it with your friends and give it a 5-star review wherever you're listening to it.
The Plaid Horse Magazine presents The Plaidcast, the leading weekly podcast for hunter jumpers everywhere.
Welcome back to the podcast, Tracy.
Thanks, Piper. Happy to be here.
So my big news is I finally got to ride again, which is very exciting.
Where are you? What's happening? Tell me.
I'm at Adam's parents' house in Hinsdale, Illinois right now, but I was up in Ixonia, Wisconsin, visiting my horsies. And so I was at Traverse City last week. Was it last week? Last week. And I had a flight. I was just going to make a day trip and go ride. And of course, my flight got delayed and canceled and blah, blah, blah. So we loaded on the plane, and then I was like, and then they unloaded us and then said that they would try to figure stuff out. And I was like, whatever, this is not working. They said it would be a few
all
hours.
Know how patient you are.
Yeah. So I just left the airport. So I woke my husband up twice, once to drive me to the airport and once after he had fallen back to sleep after he drove me to the airport. So I skipped that day. So that was disappointing. But then I was able to go up this weekend and ride. So it was really nice. It was so nice to get back on and see the boys. There's so much grass in the paddocks right now that they can be turned out with each other and not beat each other up, which makes a mom's heart big. And if you're wondering who's not nice, it's Reuben. He has poor social skills in the paddock. He's not very good at playing or what is appropriate playing.
Poor Reuben.
Yeah. He's not very good at it. So if there's a lot of food and there's a lot of grass, he's civilized with other horses. But if there is a fight,
I can relate.
Yeah. If there is a fight and scarcity for snacks,
he's angry.
But no, he's actually not looking his fattest right now. I was pretty proud of him because he often gets a lot of shaming on social media and in real life that he looks like he's going to fall. But no, I mean, he doesn't even look like he's going to fall right now. So that's pretty exciting.
That's pretty exciting. And how was it for you to just like climb on and go and try to pick up where you left off? You're so good at that, but are you sore? How was it? Did you ride well? Did you feel like you rode well? So
I of course I was sore. Last year I really tried to ride better and I worked out a ton and I really put a lot of pressure on myself to get better. And I think that was like, with the pandemic and being stuck a lot and feeling helpless a lot, I needed to focus on something, and it was productive enough thing to focus on. But I think it also just like it made me like not want to like be realistic about stuff. I would go ride and I would be out of breath and I'd be frustrated with myself. And I think when you don't get to ride that much, you have to adapt a really healthy perspective with yourself in that, like, yeah, I'm going to be out of breath. Yeah, I'm going to be sore. I might be like embarrassing to, myself, my horse, other people around me. And like, it's just fine. Like I jump a trip at the horse show and I'm completely like, can't breathe, need a water, like after one trip. And then we like rev back up and do it again. And that stuff, it's all just fine. It's really fine. Like Reuben doesn't care. And the people I surround myself with don't care. And I'm having fun and it's fine. So yeah, I was really sore and I was out of breath and I needed water a lot. But like Reuben doesn't care and it's fine. And I'm getting better. It's finally getting cumulative. Like This coming week will be the first show we did together 2 years ago. And we did this show again last year together, and we're going to do the Kentucky Summer this year together. And I trust him. It's taken a long time because he's a lot of horse for me, but I just trust him so much at this point. Like I know what he's going to do. I know what his Reuben things are. And he's such a good guy. I mean, I've never had a bad ride on him. And I mean, I don't know how many horses you can say that about. Like he's himself every day, and he's positive and he's game, and he's also a small pony. Like in his heart, like he's always bolting towards the in-gate and trying to escape work and wondering how seriously we're going to take this. But yeah, we've developed this program that works really well for him, that Carlton made up, that I walk for a long time, and then I gallop on the straightaway for a long time. And what feels like a long time because I'm really out of shape, it's like 1.5 times around a big ring. And then we get to work from there, and it's perfect for him because he likes to stretch out. His limbs go in extra directions compared to normal horses, and if he's not all loose and stretched out of his limbs doing weird stuff, then he feels the need to be even weirder down to the jumps. But
I love that you've zeroed in on all that, and you know what works for him, you know what works for you. You guys have a partnership now that you've developed over time, and you're so realistic about your expectations, which, you don't really have any, which I think is honestly a great approach because you're about the process and not the results. And I think the results come when you're about the process. So I think it's such a healthy mindset, and you get to have so much fun and enjoy your horse. And that's what it's really about.
Yep. And it's taken a really long time because to be able to get on one and pick up a canter or pick up a gallop, is not trivial for me, or, has not been. And we're getting there where it's comfortable. Like he doesn't ever do anything. He likes to look at things and that's it. And just because he's looking at things doesn't mean anything. But that's taken a long time for timid me to trust, like even knowing what the program is and even having the formula, like to get on and having the confidence to do the formula is another whole step in there. And, we're getting there. And I was at Emily Alex, and for those of you who haven't been there, her ring is on a huge grade. It's not a ring. It's just a field. It's probably at least a 5-acre field on a huge slant. And she builds like terrifying jumps that you jump up like straight uphill and straight downhill. And then there's the corgi chasing you, and there's no fence like within a mile to like help you with like a lead change. You are like on your own. Nothing helps you steer. Nothing helps you lead change. Like if that horse is not listening or moving off your leg or focus on that, it's so bliss. But
I just love that every video I see of you riding there's always a corgi running. I love it.
The corgi reacts to her. So if she's clucking, the corgi is off after you. If she's like, ride him straight, the corgi is off after you. The corgi doesn't chase you if you're doing it right. I will point that out.
See, Emily is just a good animal trainer across the board. Corgis, horses, humans. If you can get it done there, then when you go to the horse show in a controlled environment, just think how easy that will feel.
Oh yeah. I mean, and it's complete chaos there. At one point I was riding, there were 7 other kids riding and jumping. Like it's so much fun. And we've talked about this with the magazine and other stuff. Like we've a little bit forgotten the group lesson and how much you can learn by watching other people do the exercise. And it's always such a good reminder being there with her is that the jumps are designed to be scary, and yet they're very simple. And, we all want to make things fancier and fancier and fancier. And she's all about training the horse as well. But that doesn't need to be as fancy as we kind of feel sometimes like it does.
Absolutely. I so agree that like simple can be technical. Simple is technical. To do something right, to do anything right and check all those boxes, you can make it as easy or as hard as you want. we do so many exercises at home in our actual enclosed ring, with pulls and tiny jumps. But we, to save the horses and to get the repetition in for our riders, we can make it super technical at a really basic level. And we can, in the group lessons, like we have people who are novice riders and people who are advanced riders, and they can do the same exercise and just modify it. And we can drive people crazy with it because they're like, how can 2 pulls be so difficult? But it can, and it's so great. And all you have to do is just be a tiny bit creative and patient, and you can get a lot done in any sort of ring with a pull or 2.
Absolutely. And the first day I jumped, she's got a Liverpool tarp out. So the first day I jumped a Liverpool tarp, which anyone who's met my horse knows that this is quite an achievement because he likes to put his legs leaping spider over things at some point. And then my personal challenge that I've had for like a year that I haven't felt confident enough to do that I finally did is that he's very strange about jumps that have weird things on them, in the schooling ring. He's perfect at the once you get in the ring to horse show, he zones in and he's good. But at home, he kind of looks at everything and assesses what's going on with all the jumps. And when he went out to thermal last time, he was not that into jumping a towel in the schooling ring. So that was my thing that I've wanted to get back over him. And so Emily put out a towel and we jumped a towel at home to conquer my fear. And he was absolutely perfect. And he didn't even overjump it, and he wasn't even weird. I posted the video on Facebook. So it's just this thing that I had made up to be big in my mind.
I think we all do that. If we have an issue with something, then we play it over and over in our heads. And I think the sooner you can get back to it, you had to, of course, wait a while to get back to it. So I'm sure you replayed it a million times. But yeah, I mean, it's all a milestone. Every little thing, and it's different for every person and every horse. But I think that's a huge mental and emotional hurdle, just to know that you've gotten over that and you've checked that box, and now you can move on.
Yep. And he trusts me. I think that that's a huge part of it is I don't feel scared going down to anything on him anymore because, he's confident that nothing bad will happen regardless. And again, it's like you just said, we've so focused on the process that the result has come from building that trust and building the relationship and building the better canter and the more straight rides and the consistency that you just can't rush no matter how badly I wanted it last year.
No. And I think it's normal. And it's, I blame it on a lot of it on social media. Everyone's seeing all these things that other people are posting. I think that's a big part of it. So everyone gets a new horse or a horse, and they're in a rush to get to a certain level or jump a certain height or do a certain class. But we always tell people it takes at least a year to build a partnership with a horse, to really get to know that horse's intricacies and know it inside and out, and know, sometimes it might be having a bad day and what's going to happen in those instances. And I think, especially in your case, because you don't get to ride regularly, it has to take longer. So now that you're on year number 3, I feel like you know him, he knows you, and you guys are comfortable with each other. And now is when the magic really happens, because you have put the time in and you haven't rushed it.
And I do feel like in the beginning, every time I rode him, which was a little bit spread out, was everybody else riding him was doing such a good job bringing him along for me, but it meant that I was riding a different horse every time. He was so much improved from the last time. I couldn't even use what I remembered from the time before. And I think a lot of people with young horses I've talked to, have this kind of same thing as when your horse is progressing quickly, I think even that year becomes a lot longer too. There's so many factors that can make that year of bonding take more time. And, every time he would come out to horse show, he'd be so much better, but I would be riding the horse from the last horse show, not this horse show.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's normal. And it's it's not a bicycle or a car. And just like us, they have good days and bad days. And it's a lot. I mean, it's just a lot. And if you come out and you say, oh, I rode well and I did all the things I was supposed to do, but it didn't go like I expected. Well, it's a live animal and it can't tell you what it wants. So I think that's such a huge part of it. And it's why we all need to be patient with ourselves and our horses, because they're always trying to tell us stuff. And if we're listening to them, and we know sometimes we have to, go to plan A, B, or C, or just slow it all down, that's okay. Nobody knows how this is going to go. Nobody has a crystal ball. And that's why I think if we're just grateful every day that we get to do it, and we just stay focused on what we're doing every day to make things better, and it might not be what we thought, I think that's where the horsemanship comes in, and that's where the progress comes, and that's where the accomplishment comes.
So you're at Traverse City, and you had a little bit of exciting weather in the last week. You want to tell us about that?
Oh my gosh. It was a biblical downpour. We were there in the morning. We knew it was supposed to rain on Saturday, and we were at the show early, and it was looking kind of ominous, but we were doing our thing and we were planning the show. And I was walking the Jumper Classic, and you felt like it was like 10 o'clock at night. It was really dark. And then all of a sudden, a little bit of thunder and a little bit of lightning. Next thing we knew, they were telling everyone to go back to the barns because there was a lot of thunder and lightning. And then the skies just opened. And it was basically, I would say, a solid 3 hours of torrential rain. Like, I've never really seen that much rain in that short of a time. And this place, it drains amazingly well, but a few of the rings were looking like lakes. So they said, oh, we're going to push the start time back to 9. And then we're going to push the start back to 12. And then it was 1. And by the afternoon, we were showing, and the rings were beautiful. The footing was great. Like, it was pretty unreal the way that the rings are engineered here to deal with the weather. So it was fine. They ended up having to push some of the classes to Sunday. And so some of the divisions just went on one day, and that was fine too. And we had a great day yesterday. The weather was beautiful, and you didn't even know that there had been a huge rainstorm. So overall, it worked out fine. We just had to, we had to regroup our Saturday, but it was fine. And everybody has a great attitude about it. And we just did our thing. So for us being from California, it's actually fun to see rain and see weather. So we're okay with it. I'm just hoping that maybe this means that there'll be a little less rain when we go to Kentucky next week. We'll see.
Oh my gosh, it's coming. Kentucky is coming.
It's coming. It's happening. So when do you head to Kentucky? Soon, I know.
Yeah, I will be here. I guess we'll both be there as of when this airs, which is really exciting. And then my birthday party is coming up on August 2nd. My birthday is actually on a Monday this year, which is amazing. And yeah, I guess so much good stuff. So we're going to take a quick break here and come back with our guests. I'm really excited about the body positivity that one of our new fashion designers is bringing to our industry. And then we're going to catch up with top junior rider Mimi Gotchman, who is balancing school and riding and making it all happen for herself with a great attitude.
Hi, this is Melissa Terry with the Legends Horse Feed line. Have you checked out the Legends Carb Care Feeds? Well, formulated with the most current research and technology, thanks to our partnership with Kentucky Equine Research, Legends Carb Care Feeds offer the low starch and sugar levels recommended for horses with excitability or those who present digestive challenges. These feeds also have a higher fat content to provide increased calories for stamina. The fixed ingredient formula of all Legends feeds lends to consistent palatability and consumption. Between now and August 31st, Legends Carb Care Show and Pleasure, Legends Carb Care Senior, and Legends Carb Care Performance are $3 off per bag, and there's no limit on the number of bags. So print your coupon for each bag today at www.legendshorsefeed.com.
Try camelina oil today and give your horse the omega balance it craves. Help improve coat health, reduce inflammation, and improve performance, and so much more. At Smart Earth Camelina Corp, we're your source for a happier and healthier horse. Order today at smartearthcamelina.com. That's Smart Earth Camelina, CAMELINA.com.
Leela Reynolds is the creator of Cavaliere Couture, a line of riding clothes that are both comfortable and practical for the everyday equestrian, combining her two favorite passions, riding and yoga. Cavaliere Couture also has a line of sports bras and other equestrian-inspired clothing, all with the same goal in mind, style and comfort for all body types and sizes. Welcome to the podcast, Leela.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here with you guys.
We have so many clothing brands in our space. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got started and what inspired you to do something a little different?
Absolutely. So it was a couple of years ago. I was riding with my dressage trainer, Kimberly Monk, out in San Diego, California. And I have always been a notorious breeches hater. So I was like kind of the loner at the barn. I hate to use the word, but I think that everyone at the farm thought that I was like a redneck or something, because I would like go like ride around in like my yoga pants and stuff. And everyone else would have, you know, really nice riding breeches on. And there I was, just kind of like riding around in my Lulus, you know? And one of my lessons, Kim, she was like, hey, are those yoga pants? Because I had my cell phone in, you know, the yoga pocket. This was pre the craze with the riding breeches having this already, which quite a brands have done it since I launched mine. But before all of that, nobody had done this. So I was like, no, these are my Lulus. And she was like, oh, it would be such a cool idea if someone would do this. I got off my horse and I was like, oh, it would be a really cool idea if someone would do this. So went home, got on my computer to see if anyone had done it. No one had yet. Carrots had, they had released one, but the cell phone pocket like wasn't quite in a good spot. I tried them out, didn't love them. So I decided to just kind of do it on my own. So I made a riding type that I would want to ride in, and I made a yoga pants riding tight hybrid. So I wanted to have a concept where you could go from your riding lesson to a yoga class. So that's what I created. I created a clothing for an athlete, because at the end of the day, that's what we are, right? We're athletes. That's why we compete at the Olympics. Our clothes have to be comfortable. We don't deserve those stiff, heavy breeches anymore. So that's where Cavaliere Couture came from.
Leela, tell us a little bit about how your views on body positivity have shaped your brand.
So obviously being in the horse world, and I used to be in the modeling industry. So I was on the thinner side of things in a very unhealthy way. As I got older, I developed Cushing's disease. So we're all familiar with that with our horses, right? But not so much with people. Well, kind of similar set of symptoms. I gained about 100 pounds that I can't lose. And it's been emotionally difficult, especially in the equestrian world too. It's not too far off from, the modeling world. We're expected to be thin, right? There is kind of there's a visual aspect to it, and there's a lot of pressure there. And not only mentally, but also in the clothing side of things. Everything is made for thinner body types. So I really wanted to combat that with my clothing line and make it very friendly to all body types. Because you can be any size and be a beautiful rider. You don't have to be a size 0 or a size 2 or a size 4 to ride a horse beautifully and win a class. And I wanted my clothing to reflect my values when it comes to body positivity. So my clothes go up to a size 22. And I just wanted to make sure that everyone could wear my clothes and feel comfortable and have a sense of confidence in my clothing, no matter what their size is. You can be a size 0 and feel beautiful in it, and you can be a size 22 and feel beautiful in it.
I love it. What a great message. So Leela, tell us what your favorite product is and about some of the different products in your line. I've recently tried your breeches and they're very comfortable. I'm like you. I'm a little bit of a old school. Is that what we call it, Tracy? I ride in my jeans a lot.
I think that's what we call it.
I don't know. I do like
I don't know.
I put my tall boots on over my jeans, which is like the worst.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure everyone always thought, I don't know what everyone thought of me, but I always got the funny looks because I literally would put my Ariat paddock boots with my yoga pants. And I know that all those traditional, like, older ladies at the barn taking lessons were like, who is this girl? But anyways, my favorite product is definitely the leggings. I love them. I love the patterns. I'm going to be releasing like a darker floral, which is really cool. I have a black snakeskin coming up. No one's done a dark floral yet, so that one I'm kind of excited about. It's so pretty. I am going to be releasing some jewelry pretty soon. That's really beautiful. I collaborated with a fellow small business owner that hand makes her own jewelry, leather jewelry. She does a lot of really cool chain jewelry. So I'm really excited to kind of collaborate with other female artists as well and female business owners to expand my line. So lots of new things on the horizon, but definitely my mainstay is the riding tights, and I just love them. I just love how comfortable they are. I wear them every single day, and that's not even because I'm biased. Like, I have other leggings. I just don't think that they're as comfortable.
I love some of your other products. I'm laughing so hard. I love that you have candles that are called Horse Show Vibes, Horse Girl Energy, and Horse Love. And the descriptions are so funny. The Horse Girl Energy smells like dirt, hay, wasted money, and horse poop. Where are you getting your inspiration?
You know what? It all comes out of my head because they're all things that I know, from being in the horse show world. I have a new candle coming out too. Get this one. It's for horse trainers and it's called Horse Trainer Energy. This one's really going to get you. And here's the description. It smells like ibuprofen, day drinking, never meeting client expectations, and whatever reminding your clients to use their legs smells like. Oh my God, I just think that's hysterical. It's just stuff that, like, just, being in the horse world, like, you kind of know some of our quirks, right? Like, you just do. I've been riding horses since I was 9 years old. I'm 32 now. So being in that world, I've been enmeshed in it for so many years. Like, that's how I feel at horse shows. Like, when I show my horse love, that's kind of what it seems like, My horse trainers, I've been on that side too. Like, I've worked for trainers. I know what they deal with on a daily basis. So I can poke fun at it.
I love it. That's so interesting. So how does having worked with trainers make you a better client and help inform your business better too? Because I know there's so many facets to this industry, which is one of the reasons I love it so much.
Yeah, there is so many facets, and I feel very blessed to have been on so many sides of it. I've obviously been a client when I started showing horses when I was a kid, and I was so blessed that my mom, bought me a nice horse to show after I'd worked hard enough to do that. When we got the horse, I worked for a horse trainer, Arabian horse trainer named Jim Lowe, to pay off, my horse show bills. So I had to work to show. And from then I worked for him till I was about 21 years old. And so I got to actually really learn horse care. I learned so much about horses and so much about the little in and outs and day-to-day things. And then obviously going into the business side of it, my first business that I ever started was called Arabian Horse Exchange. That was my first entrepreneurial experiment, if you might want to call it that. And that was kind of like, the best way to describe it was like a Craigslist for Arabian horses. So people listed their horses and the sellers and buyers kind of were connected in that forum. So I was on the seller side of it too, and the agent side, which was a whole other ball game from working and like doing horse care. Then it was like people management, and whoa, that was not for me. I much prefer the horse management, but that taught me a lot too. When I sold that company, then I started Cavalier Couture, and just being informed with horses and horse people and client expectations, I think really did help me with this business, and kind of knowing what people already wanted going into it, clothing wise and all of that. I think it really did kind of help me brand my business for sure.
So where can our listeners check out your products and shop the looks and shop the new upcoming lines?
So obviously the website, www.cavaliercouture.com. And when your listeners do go shop, if you guys want to check it out, we do have a discount code specifically for Plaid Horse listeners, podcast listeners. And that discount is Plaid Horse 15. So go on ahead and check it out, shop with that discount code, and follow us on social media, Cavalier Couture. That's the Instagram and the Facebook.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Leila.
Of course. Thank you guys for having me.
Are you wishing you could be more comfortable right now listening to the Plaidcast? I bet you are. You can get all decked out in the Plaid Horse apparel at plaidhorsestore.com. We have plaid pajama pants, sweatshirts, hats and accessories, saddle pads, and tees of all shapes and sizes. Everything is comfy fit. We go up to 2XL in most items and XL generous fit in other items, and we want everyone to be included and feel welcome and be able to tell from everyone else they see at the horse show that the horse show is the best, most fun, welcoming, inclusive place to be. So come join us at plaidhorsestore.com. Do you love horses? Becoming a member of Grayson Jockey Club Research Foundation is a great way to give back to the horses and ponies you love. Donate today. Visit www.grayson-jockeyclub.org. That's www.grayson-jockeyclub.org. Mimi Gotchman is a top junior rider in the hunter, jumper, and equitation rings from New York City. Mimi's recent top finishes, including her winning the Hermes Under-25 semifinal and final at the Winter Equestrian Festival, and she placed third in her first three-star Grand Prix this March. In June, Mimi won co-Grand Junior Hunter Champion with Catch Me and Commentary at the Upperville Colton Horse Show, and also claimed the title of leading rider on a junior horse. Welcome to the Plaidcast, Mimi.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
You've certainly had a banner year in both the hunters and the jumpers. Do you want to catch us up a little bit on how the last couple of years have shaken out and how you've been traveling from the hunters into the jumpers and the equitation ring?
Sure. So I've been doing hunters, jumpers, and equitation for quite some time now, but I just started showing in the Grand Prix on my jumper horses, which has been super exciting and a huge learning experience for me. I also have continued to do the equitation pretty seriously for the last 3 to 4 years now. My goal is to place well at the finals and to consistently do well, because I think the equitation is so important just for that base of riding. And then in the hunters, I started out on hunters when I did ponies, and I moved up to junior hunters when I was 12 or 11, younger, and I've been doing junior hunters for quite a long time. A lot of my hunters actually got hurt a few years ago, so I sort of took a break from the hunters, but recently my mom has allowed me to show her hunter, Catch Me, and Scott and Ken, my trainers, have also allowed me to ride some of theirs, and I've ridden some horses for Don Stewart, so I don't have any junior hunters that I've recently acquired, but my mom has let me ride her wonderful, fun, amazing horse, and I've been just kind of seeing how that goes. I love the hunters, but my focus is primarily on the jumpers.
I wanted to ask you specifically about Catch Me. How did you get him away from your mom, number one? And do you feel pressure when you show him? I know Scott recently got 100 on him and he's won all of the things. And how is that for you mentally preparing to ride him?
I really enjoy riding Snoopy. It was interesting during quarantine last year when we were all still in Florida. We stayed down a little bit longer than we usually would just because we couldn't go to shows. It was unsafe. And we were still riding. I mean, because it's an outdoor sport and we were doing it very safely with masks and gloves, obviously, and not too many people could go. But my mom always played around with the idea. She was like, oh, the girls should ride Snoopy. It would be so fun. And I got to flat Snoopy last year during quarantine and just trot him around, canter him around a little bit. And that was really exciting. And then this year at West, my mom was throwing around the idea just because I think she's won everything on that horse. I mean, there isn't one big show that she hasn't won on him. She's been, leading amateur owner rider at all the shows. He's won everything with her and Scott. And then Scott got that 100 week 2. And my mom was still busy up in New York doing some things and projects before she came down to Florida. And she was like, well, since he's doing so well and he's up and running, why don't we let Mimi try him out? And I got to show him and it went well. And my mom was like, oh, this is such a fun thing for the family to do. I mean, I think she enjoys watching other people on him just because she has been so successful on him, and she still loves him and she will still show him and ride him every once in a while. But I think she's kind of having fun watching him compete in the junior hunters. I mean, I got to do him in the Hunter Spectacular, and that was the second time I'd ever done it, but it was a night class and I don't get to do those often. And it was a big class and he was so fantastic. I mean, he's won it before with Scott. I think it's just fun for them to see him go around with a different rider because Scott and my mom are already so perfect on him. I think it was just something fun for them to try out. And I don't, I guess, necessarily feel nervous. I mean, I do want to do well and I don't want to mess up like the perfect horse, but I try to just focus on riding him like I would any other horse because I feel like getting caught up in the nerves and his name and the pressure will just unfocus me and it won't make it so that I can ride to the best of my ability. So I try not to think about all of his success, but it really is fun. He's the smoothest, sweetest. He's so kind, and he always wants to jump his heart out and win. He's got that winning spirit. So it's really absolutely amazing to ride him.
Well, it sounds like you have a great outlook on it and you don't let the pressure seep in. I wanted to ask you about your general preparation for showing. Do you have any rituals or any sort of mental preparation tools that you can share with us?
I wouldn't say I have like a specific ritual that I do every single show, but I guess the most important thing to me is to have a plan and to be on the same track as my trainer, know what I'm doing and what I'm supposed to do and the goal of the class, whether it's a speed class and I'm going fast or whether it's speed class and I'm trying to train because it's a new horse or a horse coming back from an injury. I think it's always important to know what class you're doing for yourself and for your horse and what your trainer and you think is important to get the job done. As far as it goes, ritual, I guess just to have my boots polished, my coat clean, have my spurs, all the equipment that I need for the proper horse and to get there on time. I think that's also super important. I wouldn't say I do a specific ritual every single class, but I always have those things in mind. Plan for the horse, what the goal of the class is for me as a rider and how it's helping me, my horse, my team, what everyone has in mind for that specific class and just being prepared. And I don't try to think too hard because I think the sport is also just about being in the moment and working well with your horse and knowing your abilities and working as a team and trusting both your trainers, your horse, and yourself.
So tell us a little bit about some of your Grand Prix horses and what it's like to move up to the feature class, the Hunter Spectacular. Obviously, everyone's watching you. I mean, doing the Grand Prix, it's a different level of pressure and being in the spotlight than maybe being in the junior jumper ring.
Yeah, for sure. I just started doing Grand Prix a little bit last summer, so summer of 2020. I think. Yeah. But I did some national Grand Prix at HITS in Saugerties, and those were some of my first real Grand Prix that I competed in. I also did some in Michigan. And those Grand Prix were really just starting out in the Grand Prix. My trainer was trying to see if I could compete at that level, if I was ready to compete at that level. And it went really well. So this West, he said that I could try to start competing in some of the welcome classes. I could do the U25 classes. And because a lot of those U25 classes, they let us go in the field. So it was all about experience and just starting to get to know how to jump at that height and level properly and well. And I was super excited. My two current Grand Prix horses that I've been doing consistently are Gigi's Girl BH, who we call Gigi at home, and then Selena BH, who we call Selena. But I've had both of them for quite some time. We've had Selena since she was, I think, 8 or 7. And I got Gigi about 3 years ago. And our partnerships have just been growing ever since those rides came into our barn. I mean, both are incredible horses, and they're just teaching me how to jump at a higher height. I think the higher height can be scary, but I know that my trainer wouldn't push me to jump that high or wouldn't let me jump that high if he knew I wasn't prepared. So I think I always have to just keep that in mind. Yes, those classes can be a lot scarier and bigger. I mean, even the Hunter Spectacular, it's 3-6, something I've been jumping for a long time, but I mean, it's under the lights, it's a different atmosphere. The courses are usually a little bit more intricate than you would see in a junior hunter ring. I mean, for the 25 final, those courses are going to be bigger. There's usually a water jump that I have to jump, and the water can always pose some, I guess, just it can be a difficult jump to jump. So I think just learning how to take what I've learned in the past from the junior jumper ring and really take those tools and be the same rider that I can be competing in the junior jumpers as I can be competing in the Grand Prix is important. And I'm having fun. I mean, it's difficult and it can be challenging and hard and disheartening when it doesn't go the way you want, but I'm having fun and I'm learning a lot, and I think I can do it, and it's fun and my horses enjoy it. So it's all about learning and having fun and admiring the other riders in the ring and seeing what they can do that you want to be able to do. It's just all a learning experience, I think, and I'm very excited to be able to compete in that higher level.
You have such a great attitude. I love your positivity, and I know that you have ridden with Scott and Ken for really your entire career. And I love that. Can you talk to us a little bit about your relationship with them and how it's evolved over the years?
Yes, we have been riding with Scott and Ken for our whole lives. My mom found them as an amateur owner, and I was probably 6 or 7 when we started riding with them, I think. And I was still in ponies. And I knew Scott was like this big, crazy good hunter rider. And I was a little bit intimidated. I got to watch him do tons of big classes, win class after class. And I thought that it was really cool that we were at the barn of like this really intense, good hunter rider. And then Ken, I didn't know him as much when I was younger because he always trained in the jumper divisions or the bigger hunter divisions or the older kids, I guess. And he would always come and watch us ride, but I didn't really start working with him until I started doing junior hunters and junior jumpers. And I've been working with Ken for so long, and he's like part of the family now, I guess. We've been on countless like trips together. He's always at the ring. Now, whenever I compete, he's always there. I guess I would say our relationship is really close. He's an intense trainer. I mean, I'm sure you know his reputation is he's tough and he's mean and he wants you to do your best. But the only way I would be able to compete at the level I do now is because of him and Scott and his toughness and making me be a better rider, not just like leading me through it, but he really enforces the way that you're supposed to ride correctly at home through exercises and no stirrups and flat lessons. And since he rides at home, he doesn't show anymore, but he does ride a lot at home. And it's interesting to watch him do the lessons and the activities and see him do it and then try to replicate what he's doing. I think that's something that is often done at home. I mean, I have been training with him for so long that I feel like I know what he does. I know what he expects from me at this point in my life, but it wasn't always that way. And just getting there has been really interesting and intense. But I mean, I would never be as good or jumping as high as I am now if I hadn't stuck through those hard lessons and been able to show Ken that I can do what he's asking. Because in order to jump big jumps, or in order to do the equitation properly, or in order to have the smoothest, most perfect hunt around, you have to be able to do the smallest, intricate, little tiny exercises at home. And I think that Scott and Ken really know what they're doing. And I've been lucky to work with them for a really, really long time. So, yeah.
Tell us about balancing school and showing on the circuit. I understand you're quite the reader and quite a good student.
Thank you. Yeah, I think school has always been my family's priority. We were told from a very young age, if we don't take school seriously, that riding isn't something that we can do, because riding is a privilege. Yes, it is the sport that I chose to play, but it is a privilege, and my parents always made it a known fact in our family that we need to keep up with our work and we need to try our best in school. Not that they're expecting like you to be the top student, but it can't be a slacking off thing. So school has always been super important to me. And I think that reading has always been important to me. Reading is such a fun thing to do. I mean, you get to learn a lot through reading, and you get to be taken through different universes or worlds in reading. I mean, it's all about imagination. So I do love reading, and balancing school with riding can be difficult because as a high school student, the workload has only gotten bigger since I was a middle school student. But I do have a lot of help. I mean, my teachers at school are very easy to communicate with, and they always try to give me my work ahead of time and prepare me. And I also work with a tutoring center they're based out of Wellington, Florida, but a lot of their tutors travel to these shows as well on the circuit, and they're called Palm Beach International Academy. And I've been working with them since I was like 10 maybe, or even younger. And they're basically just one-on-one tutoring to help me get through the work and make sure that I'm doing it and getting it done on time. And it's just a really good resource that my family has been utilizing for the past like 10 years, so that I can stay on top of my work. And they work really closely with my school as well. The head of the PBIA will email the head of my school, and they will work on a plan and make sure that everything is going smoothly so that I can ride. Because with riding, I compete sometimes as early as Wednesday during the week, and I can't attend class. So in order to stay up with my good grades and keep up with my work and keep up with the other classmates in school, I guess working with my teachers and PBIA and making sure that I take time out of my day to do the work is just important. And organization, knowing what you have to do when and all that. But that, I think, is a tool that you learn when you have to get the work done when you're not at school. So it's like a learning experience, figuring out what works best for you and all that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Mimi.
Thank you for having me. It's so exciting to be part of a podcast.
Don't you love opening your mailbox and seeing something in there you actually want? Something in there that isn't a bill, political mail, or a donation request? Something you want. Subscribe to the Plaid Horse magazine, and we'll deliver that feeling 9 times a year. That's right, you can subscribe to the Plaid Horse magazine. That way you'll never miss an issue. Sign up at theplaidhorse.com.
Just because the temperatures are starting to heat up doesn't mean that your horse has to suffer the effects of heat stress. The most innovative technology to manage heat stress and exertion in horses is finally here. This summer, Vitalize brings you a product unlike any other on the market, Vitalize Blazin'. The proprietary blend of proven ingredients found in Blazin' support blood flow and cooling, promote cellular hydration, enhance exercise tolerance, and help support stamina, especially when temperatures are elevated. Don't get beat by the heat this summer. Visit vitalizeeq.com to learn more about Blazin' and the other products in the Vitalize line.
Well, it was great to be joined by people who have such a future in our sport. I think we're only starting to see the great things Mimi is going to accomplish in the show ring. And I think with her academic side, we're going to be seeing her in a horse business before we know it. And it's so great to see Leela's inclusiveness and growing a brand based on need and how we make this industry a better place for all of us.
Yes, they were both so great. And I love Leela's sense of humor with her products too. I love that she's sort of crossing over into things outside of the horse world that speak to horse people and doing, a lot of fun things with her candles and her phone cases and just making it more mainstream. I love hearing from entrepreneurs and hearing their stories, and Mimi is so much fun and so entertaining just to hear about her journey, because she started in the ponies and now she's doing Grand Prix, and she has such a great attitude. And I knew of her, but I didn't really know her, and it was just so much fun to get to chat with her.
Absolutely. And we'll be in Kentucky for the next few weeks. So if you see us, feel free to come up and say hi, or we're usually stabled down by the Alltech ring. So come visit Tracy and come visit me. And thank you all for joining us.
Do you find bookkeeping a bore? Or worse, a chore? We can help. Whether you need help billing or full-on bookkeeping, call or email us for a free, no-pressure consultation. Let us take the fear out of your finances. Visit us today at solvebookkeeping.com.
What can Life Force supplements do for your horse? They can help enhance focus, maintain healthy joints, support muscle endurance, and protect gut health. Life Force Premium Equine Supplements are backed by decades of innovative nutritional research to support superior horse health and performance. While the science is advanced, our philosophy is simple. We believe wellness begins from within. Life Force, powered by science, driven by passion. Learn more at lifeforcehorse.com. That's lifeforcehorse.com, or follow along on Facebook and Instagram at lifeforcehorse.
This is Reese Koffler-Stanfield.
And I'm Philip Parks from the Dressage Radio Show. We are the official podcast of the United States Dressage Federation, and we love talking all things dressage.
As two professional dressage riders, we enjoy bringing our friends and colleagues on the podcast to share our knowledge of the sport. We have interviews with riders, trainers, authors, and judges to bring you information, stories, and riding tips about dressage.
We invite you to come on over to listen to our show at dressageradioshow.com.
You can find links to today's guests and show notes at theplaidhorse.com/listen. Follow the podcast on Facebook. Just search for The Plaid Horse Magazine on any social media. We are there for you. You can subscribe to the print magazine at theplaidhorse.com/subscribe. You can learn more about my college courses at theplaidhorse.com/college. You can have all the Horse Radio Network shows with you wherever you go using the free Horse Radio Network app for iPhone and Android. Go to your app store and search Horse Radio Network. You can also listen on iTunes or your favorite podcatcher. Please rate and review the podcast on iTunes. 5-star reviews help people discover the podcast. And if you enjoy our conversation, please share it with your friends. We have a preview of Show Strides Book 2 coming up. Book 4 is going to be available for sale this fall. So catch up with Show Strides Books 1 through 3 today on Audible, in print, on Kindle, and wherever you order books. The Show Strides book series is there. Thank you to our sponsors, Taylor Harris Insurance Services, Sol Bookkeeping, Alltech, Vitalize, Smart Earth, Legends, Horse Feed, and I will see you at the ring. Show Strides Book 2, Confidence Comeback by Piper Clem. Chapter 1. Make your comebacks stronger than your setbacks. Tally frowned at the quote of the week on the chalkboard inside the Field Ridge tack room as she put her pony's tack away. They had just gotten back to the barn after their disaster of a first show together. At the very first jump, at Tally's very first A-rated show, the pony she was catch riding, Stoneleigh Dance Party, refused the fence and Tally fell off. When Danny, as he was called at the barn, ducked hard to the left, she went right and flew over the jump alone. Seriously upset and embarrassed, she somehow managed to keep from crying in front of her new trainer, Ryan, as well as everyone watching. Ryan brushed the footing off Tally's jacket and led the pony out of the ring. Then he gave Tally a pep talk about how everyone falls off at a show sometimes, even the very best riders. Isabel, a 16-year-old client of Ryan's, was also showing earlier in the day. After Tally fell, Isabel did a warm-up round on Danny to school him, getting him over all 8 jumps. Ryan nodded approvingly and gave Danny a big pat as they left the ring. Then he made Tally get back on to jump a few fences in the schooling area. He dogged you at the first jump, so I wanted Isabel to get him around, remind him about the job he needs to do, Ryan told Tally. Now I want you to get back on in the schooling area for your confidence. Tally and Danny popped over a few jumps together, including a jump that Ryan purposely set up to look spooky by adding a cooler to the top rail with his vest draped on top of that. Tally felt the pony stare it down and hesitate a few strides out. "Sit and leg," Ryan called, and Tally rode definitively to the base of the fence. Danny peeked down a little bit, but Tally felt calmly in control and confident that they'd clear it. After that mini lesson in the schooling ring, it was as if the show ring blunder never happened. She thought back on it bitterly as she flicked on the tackroom light in the dim, late afternoon to wipe down Danny's bridle. She looped the throat latch through the end of the reins and fastened it, then wrapped the noseband around the whole bridle, pulling the buckle to the front and feeding the tapered end of the leather through the keepers. A month ago, she'd never heard of this figure-8 technique for storing bridles. She'd learned a lot in a short period of time since she started riding with Ryan and catch riding Danny, but it all ended in such embarrassment that morning. Tally kicked the tack trunk by the door in frustration, like a little kid. She definitely suffered the setback part, as someone phrased it on the whiteboard. The problem was, with no home shows at her barn on the schedule and an uncertain future with catch riding in general, she had no idea when she'd have a chance for the comeback.